Welcome back to Rebuilds. Today's video will be very special, at least to me. As you can tell, I'm a huge fan of Final Fantasy XIII. It's my favorite game of all time, and yes, it even beats these games that are also very close to my heart. Now, Rebuilds would be the first one to admit that he doesn't watch a lot of YouTube, but he is aware that Final Fantasy XIII isn't liked on the tube, and that is disappointing to say the very least. I haven't found any YouTuber willing to make a positive video on Final Fantasy XIII, so it falls to Rebuilds to put out that positive video about this truly amazing masterpiece. Let's craft something from Final Fantasy XIII.
One ring to rule them all.
Okay, so what is Rebuilds going to make from Final Fantasy XIII? Well, I so happen to have the Final Fantasy XIII Strategy Guidebook. Let's look through it and decide on what to build. Now, Rebuilds has a build in mind, but let's look through the book anyway, for no other reason except I like talking about this game. So humor me, will ya? There's a lot of interesting ones. Like this one right here caught my eye. That would be a fun challenge. Ooh, this one looks really colorful and pretty. I'll definitely have to attempt to craft that at some point. We could make a slimy ooze as well. That would be really cool to have, but I don't know even how I could make it. Maybe with UV resin? I don't know. We can make a cute little cactus. Oh, this is definitely a monster I want to build in the future. Hold on. There we go. This green guy I believe is in the other games, maybe? But the brown guy down here is iconic in Final Fantasy XIII because he, or she, drops the growth egg which times 2s your EXPs, making it easier to level up. And if you're sneaky, you can get it earlier than the game wants you to have it. For sure, this guy deserves a spotlight in a future video. Okay, you guys humored me enough. Let's get started with the build. I have chosen the Mansfin Warmech because it's the first enemy you fight in the game, and it's a part of that truly amazing opening to Final Fantasy XIII, so I had to make this one first. Okay, just like my Hatsune Miku Podracer video, link in the description, I will be using my old childhood toys as the main material for this build. Turn off the video if you're a vintage Lego collector. Okay, let's start with the Warmech's head. I found this roundy bit that looks like the right shape. I think it was from a Batman Lego set. I glued another piece on it that had a similar shape to it, and the head... Focus, Miss Camera. Good. We have the general concept of the head done. The problem with using Legos is that they look like Legos, so we have to cover it up. We're going to use this actual metal mesh speaker cover that I got from an old CD player. I just cut it into shape and glued it on. Next, let's cover up the ugly back of the head with an uglier piece of plastic. Okay, the head is far enough along that we can make the Warmech's body next. The core of the body will be these two Lego chassis that are from Bionicle sets. I'm gluing one on top of the other, having the top one slightly up or at an angle. As for the booty or derriere, I used various Lego and toy wheels to make up a circly shape. Yeah, that's definitely a word. Note the very end, that yellow piece is a connector Lego for the tail. We'll build that later. Okay, the body is now ready for the head, and since I'm using mostly Legos, it's a breeze to attach them together. If you haven't already noticed, the Warmech is cross-dressing as a scorpion, so we have to layer some plastic up its back to mimic how the scorpion's body looks, or works, I guess? I don't know. By the way, the reference picture I've been using is the Scorpion from Resident Evil 0. Also, completely unrelated, Scorpion was my favorite character in Mortal Kombat. You know, when that game series was a thing. Next on the to-do list is the legs, or cute little feets. Here are the chosen pieces that will become the Warmech's extremities.
Sarah! What is your focus? Let's see, have a focus, right? I'll go with you, help you do it. Just let me.
No, if you're with me, the sanctum
I will be with you. No matter what. We've We've come too far to quit now.
Man, do I love that scene. With the legs attached, this chicken just needs some wings, or arms. We're going to build the arms next. As for these stubs, the main material I'm using is junk plastic from a yogurt container. I cut out 2 pieces that are the size of 2
rectangles!
I'm gluing the 2 pieces together, and before the glue dries, I'm holding it into a shape that resembles Arnold's football head. The next thing I did was glue on this Lego wagon wheel. Then I set that part aside to focus on the other part of the arm, which was the forearm, I think. I glued on a round piece of plastic where the elbow would be. I added a Lego gear on top of it in an attempt to make it look like it could move, but it can't. At the wrist of the arm, I added this poker chip that may be the chip that Spike ate in Cowboy Bebop. I glued the 2 pieces together at the elbow and we had an arm. But it's not quite done yet. We have to build the saw blades that act like its hands. As for the round saws, I used these connector toys, and these were actually what inspired me to build the Warmech. As you can see, I just glued them on a Lego connector piece, and then I just added a few more of those pieces to make the general shape of the saw housing. I glued the blades to the previous built arm, and the arms were done, and they were ready to be added to the rest of the model. Alright, we're almost done with the build. We just have to build the tail. I wanted the tail to move, so I'm using these Lego joiner pieces that I got from a few Bionicle sets. And look, I warned you in the beginning that Lego crimes were happening, and you chose to stick around on your own free will, so don't at me, Lego fans. We're going to use both pieces, but let's focus on the connector piece first. I started by cutting it in half, because I only needed the ball joint part. I took 2 joiners and super glued them together to make the first segment of the tail. To complete the tail, I needed about 4 joiners. With the joiner pieces done, we can focus on the other part, which is the ball joints. Using my scissors, I removed said balls from their shafts. I took said ball joints and inserted them into this round Lego bit that shockingly fit inside the joiner, which was a happy accident. Let's take a moment to acknowledge how beautiful this Lego's purple color is. I have to find a way to use this in a craft that doesn't involve painting over this beautiful color. Can we not waste time simping over an old Lego color rebuilds? Let's get back to the build. Okay, the parts are all made, but they don't look like a scorpion tail just yet. There we go, now it looks like a proper gross bug tail. To make what I'm calling armor, I just cut out pieces of plastic and wrapped them around the joiner pieces, and that worked out very good. Okay, the tail is done, and look, it moves! Isn't that awesome? It almost was worth destroying all those precious Legos. Alright, with the tail in place, the building part is done, and as usual, Rebuilds is completely in shock on how well it came out. It almost seems like he actually knows what he's doing. For painting, I started with priming the whole thing in black spray paint, but that's not entirely true. I painted some parts white, then covered them with painter's tape, and as you can see, the face came out perfect. But as for the rest of it, well, you can see that the black paint seeped through the tape and destroyed the white, which was very sad. Hold on, I gotta get a pic of this, so I can show my cat later. Instead of just painting over the black, I decided to keep the blemishes, and turn this Warmech into a battle-tested war machine. All I did was add a small amount of metallic silver within the black spots, and that made it look like this painting mistake was actually a great way to weather the piece and add more detail to a rather dull black and white toy. I then dry brushed the same metallic silver over the whole chassis, making sure to get those feet and underbelly. The last thing I dry brushed silver were the blades, and I was tempted to add a little blood on them, and it would fit with the storyline of it being fresh from the battlefield, but I chose not to because Final Fantasy XIII isn't a Resident Evil game. Alright, we're on the home stretch. I added the eyes because I forgot to, then I painted them a menacing red color. I believe they're white in the game, but I like the scary look of red. Next, I added a metallic green to the hands, just to break up all the white. I also added a purple metallic piece to the forearm, It matched the game pretty well. And with that final piece, the painting was done, which means the build was done. Roll the beauty shots. Thank you so much for coming along with me as I basically simped all about Final Fantasy XIII. I truly love this game, and I hope if there's any fans of the game, this video made you happy. It's no coincidence that this video was posted on Thanksgiving Day. I actually play Final Fantasy XIII every year at this time because Thanksgiving is when I first bought and played Final Fantasy XIII. I think back in 2010. It's become this big tradition of mine, and I was very excited about this year because I could make a video about crafting something from my favorite game of all time. In fact, a Final Fantasy XIII crafting video could and probably will come around every November on this channel for the next 100 years. If Square Enix is watching, and I know they are, please port Final Fantasy XIII on the new consoles. Not a remake, because it doesn't need one. It's perfect just the way it is. I think Final Fantasy XIII is the only game in the series that hasn't gotten a port for the new consoles, and that really sucks. Come on, Square Enix, be a friend. Alright, thank you again for watching. Please like this video if you enjoyed it as much as I did. Make sure you subscribe so we can simp together about nerdy stuff. And always remember, be kind and rewind. Say something nice about Final Fantasy XIII in the comments below, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.